Let's face it, living on a boat full-time sounds like a dream to a lot of folks, but for most people, that dream comes with a price tag that feels completely out of reach. I've been there too, scrolling through listings, watching slick YouTube tours of boats that cost more than a house, thinking, well, maybe someday. But here's the thing, you don't need a fancy 50-footer with teak decks and push-button everything to live the dream. There are plenty of solid, affordable boats out there that can make a cozy, capable home on the water if you know what to look for. In this video, I'm going to walk you through 10 of the best cheap boats you can actually live on. These are boats that have proven themselves over the years, boats you can often find for the price of a used car if you're patient and willing to do a bit of work. Some are better for coastal cruising, some can even go offshore, but all of them can absolutely be turned into a floating home. So, grab a coffee, settle in, and let's take a look at some of the best bang-for-your-buck liveaboard sailboats out there. If there's a boat that defines affordable coastal living, it's the Catalina 30. These boats are everywhere, and for good reason. They're roomy, simple, and built in huge numbers, which makes parts and knowledge easy to find. You can often pick one up for a very reasonable price, and what you get for that money is a surprisingly livable space. Inside, the layout feels more like a tiny apartment than a boat under 30 feet. There's a real galley, a decent-sized head, and enough space to sleep a couple plus guests without stepping on each other. The cockpit's roomy too, and the wide beam gives it great stability and comfort at anchor. It's not a boat you'd choose for crossing oceans, but for harbor hopping, coastal cruising, or just living aboard at the dock, it's tough to beat. Plenty of folks use Catalina 30s as their first liveaboard because they're accessible and forgiving. They sail well enough, and there's a huge community of owners out there willing to help with advice and parts. If you want a cheap boat that doesn't feel cheap once you step aboard, this one's a classic for a reason. The Cal 34 is one of those boats that just hits a sweet spot. Solid build, decent performance, and enough interior space to live aboard without feeling like you're camping. You'll often find them for a budget-friendly price, especially if you're okay with doing some cosmetic work yourself. What I like about the Cal 34 is its balance. It sails well, handles confidently, and has enough beam to offer a surprisingly spacious salon and V-berth. The galley and navigation station are well laid out, and the interior has that warm, old-school charm that just feels good. It's not flashy, but it's honest, and that goes a long way in the liveaboard world. These boats were built with sturdiness in mind, and many are still going strong after decades on the water. That's the kind of legacy that inspires confidence. You might need to update systems like plumbing or wiring, but structurally, most of these hulls are rock solid. The Cal 34 is a no-nonsense boat with great bones, and if you're looking for a floating home that can also stretch its legs on the weekend, this one's a keeper. Don't let the small size fool you. The Albin Vega 27 is one tough little boat. It's compact, yes, but it's earned its stripes as a capable offshore cruiser thanks to its strong hull, seaworthy design, and efficient layout. If you're solo or a minimalist couple, this boat offers an affordable and surprisingly rugged entry into liveaboard life. What makes the Vega shine is its practicality. Every inch of space is used wisely. There's standing headroom in the main cabin, for most folks, a small but usable galley, and a cozy set of berths that can handle long stays if you pack smart. Storage is decent for the size, and the cockpit is deep and secure, great for rougher days out. This boat's reputation is built on real-world experience. Plenty of sailors have taken Vegas across oceans, so it's comforting to know it can handle more than just calm anchorages. They're also economical to run, light enough to haul out without crazy fees, and often available at a very wallet-friendly price. If you're okay with living small and want a boat that punches above its weight, the Albin Vega 27 is a solid contender. The Pearson 35 is one of those boats that people fall in love with after stepping aboard. At 35 feet, it offers a lot of interior volume without being too intimidating to handle solo. For liveaboards, that extra space goes a long way. It feels less like camping and more like a compact floating cottage. It's a unique boat in its class, with a keel centerboard combo that lets you sneak into shallow anchorages while still offering decent windward performance. Down below, the interior is roomy and inviting. There's a large V-berth, a spacious main salon, and plenty of storage tucked into every corner. The galley and head are both functional and comfortable for full-time use. The Pearson 35 sails with a steady, forgiving motion, making it ideal for folks who are newer to cruising or prefer a gentler ride. You can often find these boats at surprisingly low prices, especially if you're willing to take on a bit of project work. And the best part, the hulls are strong and built to last. If you want a boat with classic lines, tons of character, and serious liveaboard comfort, the Pearson 35 checks all the boxes. The Ericson 32 might just be one of the best values out there for liveaboard sailors who want a blend of performance and comfort. It's a sharp-looking boat with clean lines and a reputation for quality construction. For its size, it feels incredibly roomy and sails like a dream, responsive, stable, and just plain fun. Inside, the layout is smart and functional. You've got a good-sized galley, a comfortable settee, and a private V-berth forward. The head is simple but workable, and the salon can double as a social area or extra sleeping space when needed. There's enough headroom for most folks, and the overall vibe inside is warm and welcoming. What I like most about the Ericson 32 is its versatility. It's small enough to single-hand comfortably, but big enough to live on without too many compromises. It's also a great boat to learn on, easy to handle, yet rewarding to sail. And best of all, it's usually priced well below what you'd expect for a boat of this quality. If you're after an affordable liveaboard that still brings a smile to your face under sail, the Ericson 32 is a strong contender. The Hunter 33 is often overlooked by salty traditionalists, but if you're after space and comfort on a budget, this boat deserves a serious look. Built with liveaboards in mind, it offers a roomy interior, easy sail handling, and plenty of headroom without draining your bank account. What stands out about the Hunter 33 is how livable it feels. The wide beam carries well into the cabin, giving you a spacious salon, a functional galley, and a surprisingly private aft cabin if you're looking at one of the newer versions. Storage is generous, the layout is open, and the whole space just feels more modern than many older boats in this size range. Now, is it a heavy-weather blue water cruiser? Not really, but for protected coastal cruising, harbor hopping, or even staying put at a mooring or marina, it's more than enough. And because these boats were produced in large numbers, you'll find good deals out there, especially if you're willing to handle a bit of upkeep. If comfort and space are high on your list and you're not planning to cross oceans, the Hunter 33 gives you a lot of boat for not a lot of money. The Islander 28 is a boat that punches above its weight in just about every category. Compact, affordable, and surprisingly capable, it's one of those under-the-radar boats that makes a great liveaboard for solo sailors or couples who don't need a ton of space but want something that feels cozy and capable. What I love about this boat is the layout. For a sub-30-footer, it manages to feel open and well thought out. The settees are long enough to stretch out on, the galley is small but smartly arranged, and the V-berth forward gives you a bit of privacy. There's even a proper chart table, something missing from a lot of boats this size. Underway, the Islander 28 sails beautifully. It's balanced, easy to handle, and doesn't need much wind to get moving. That makes it a joy for weekend sails or longer coastal trips. Plus, its moderate displacement means it feels solid without being a tank. If you're looking for a starter boat to live on, or something simple and seaworthy for minimalist cruising, the Islander 28 is hard to beat, and best of all, the price tag is usually well within reach, even for first-time buyers. The Columbia 36 is a roomy, full-bodied classic that offers a whole lot of boat for not a lot of money. With its long overhangs and sweeping sheer line, it has that timeless look that a lot of sailors love, and the interior space is a real standout for a boat of this vintage. This boat is built like a tank, with a solid fiberglass hull and a forgiving underbody that gives a steady ride in mixed conditions. It's not going to win any races, but it will carry you comfortably from point A to point B, and it's more than capable of handling serious coastal cruising, or even crossing oceans if properly outfitted. Inside, the Columbia 36 feels like a proper home. The salon is wide and open, with long settees that double as sea berths. The galley is basic but usable, and the head is roomy enough to not feel claustrophobic. There's ample storage throughout, which is a must for liveaboards. These boats often show up on the market at very reasonable prices, usually because they need a bit of cosmetic love. But if you're handy and looking for space, comfort, and value, the Columbia 36 is a great platform to build from. The Westerly Centaur might look a bit quirky with its twin keels and chunky profile, but don't let that fool you. This British-built cruiser is a favorite among liveaboards for good reason. It's tough, practical, and incredibly stable, especially when dried out on the hard or anchored in shallow tidal waters. One of the biggest perks of the Centaur is its bilge keel design. That means you can literally beach it and let it rest upright, which opens up all sorts of shallow anchorages and saves you money on marina fees. It's also a surprisingly good sailor, especially upwind in heavier weather. It's not fast, but it's steady and confidence-inspiring. Below deck, the layout is cozy but clever. There's enough headroom for most folks, a decent galley, and berths for 4 or 5 if you're creative. The build quality is solid, with heavy fiberglass layup and a no-nonsense seaworthy feel. Centaurs pop up on the used market all the time, often for well under the cost of even a small new car. If you want a liveaboard that's simple, rugged, and can take a few knocks without blinking, the Westerly Centaur is a smart choice, especially if you like cruising in skinny water. The Allied Seawind 30 is one of those boats with a real cult following, and once you step aboard, it's easy to see why. It's a full-keeled, heavy-displacement cruiser that just oozes character and old-school charm. Built tough, these boats have circled the globe more than a few times, and they're a favorite among traditionalists and long-distance sailors alike. What sets the Seawind apart as a liveaboard is its solid feel and cozy layout. You get the sense that this boat is ready for anything. The interior isn't huge, but it's warm and functional, with just enough space to cook, sleep, and store your gear without feeling cramped. The woodwork gives it that classic salty vibe, and there's a certain peace of mind that comes with knowing your boat was built to handle serious weather. Sailing-wise, the Seawind is steady and predictable, not fast, but reliable. And for a solo sailor or a couple looking to go slow and steady, that's exactly what you want. Best of all, they're often available at surprisingly low prices, especially for a boat with real offshore credentials. If you're drawn to the romantic side of sailing, the Allied Seawind 30 is a boat worth falling for. So there you have it. 10 boats that prove you don't need a big budget to start living the dream. Each one of these boats has its own personality, its own quirks, and its own kind of charm. And while they might not have all the latest bells and whistles, they've got what really matters: solid bones, smart layouts, and the kind of character that turns a hull into a home. Living on a boat isn't always easy. It takes work, creativity, and a bit of grit, but it's one of the most rewarding ways to live life on your own terms. Whether you're anchored in some quiet cove or tied up at a marina with a cold beer in hand, there's something about boat life that just sticks with you. If you're thinking about making the leap, don't let the price tags scare you off. Boats like these are out there, waiting for someone to bring them back to life and call them home. And if you've already started down this path, maybe you've lived on one of these boats yourself. I'd love to hear your story in the comments. Until next time, fair winds and following seas. I'll see you out there.